All right, welcome in. We got plenty of NBA here tonight on the card. We're going to break down a few games, see if we can find a couple of angles we like, throw in a couple of best bets here from the contrarian gods. And of course, we'll focus on a total and a featured matchup. That is what we do here on the NBA Tip Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. And we've got three of the finest NBA handicappers at Wager Talk on the show here today as we welcome back in the prop god, Andy Lang in the house, as is double R1L Steve Merrill. And it's a good thing because Rob Vino's here and he don't feel like doing math. So have no fear. Steve Merrill is here and we are going to start off like we always do here on the show by hearing what the contrarian gods have to say here tonight. And of the games on a card, an interesting one out west where the Bulls will be taking on the Lakers. And this was as high as 5 this morning. So it looks like the contrarian gods might have a little something to say about what's going on here in the marketplace. We are seeing the 4.5s now, and I get it. I mean, Lakers at home, being a favorite, Andy, is one thing, but being, a 2-bucket favorite against, I think, a pretty decent Bull squad, it seems like a ton of points. The contrarian gods think it's too many. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by this number as well. 4.5. I don't know. Maybe they're factoring in LeBron's a little rested and he's coming back. I don't know. Their last win was against Portland. That was a big win. But you look at this Bulls team, and over the last 10 games, they're 8th in defensive rating. So I think they're going to be okay on defense. They should make it close. And this is certainly not a Lakers team I want to bet on. Speaking of which, I'll take Anthony Davis under his points, rebounds, and assists, 43.5.
Ooh.
This is a guy, the teams that he's gone over this number against recently: Brooklyn, Dallas, who doesn't have depth inside, OKC doesn't have depth inside, Toronto, who's thrown in the towel this season. You got LeBron, who's going to be back tonight, and the Bulls good in defensive rating. And this is an Anthony Davis that just doesn't go over this total very much. It seems like a pretty ambitious number to get to. He's gone under in 2 straight games. And it's a Bulls team that does have some depth inside to make life a little bit difficult for him. So I think this might be a little bit low scoring. It's a big number on Anthony Davis. I don't trust him to get over. So that's my favorite prop in this one.
Oh, I like that. All right, AD there. I mean, I find it hard to believe that LeBron, I mean, they need a win, Steve. I would be shocked if he doesn't play. But even if he does, this is a pretty decent Bulls team, especially on the road here. I think we talked about them last week, too, on that first game on a road trip, and they ended up covering for us then. What do you think about this game tonight against the Lakers? Are you with the contrarian gods on this one?
Yeah, I mentioned this a few weeks ago in some of the solo videos, and check out all the NBA solo videos. We have 4 or 5 games previewed every night here with the isolated matchups. I've done a lot of Laker games the last couple of weeks in those videos, and I always joke, the running joke for me is like, it's a Laker game, so Anthony Davis is probable, LeBron James is questionable. The last game I did, actually, LeBron was out, mid-afternoon, and that, of course, was that game against the Clippers, and I used the Clippers as a free play in that video on Tuesday, minus the 9.5. They got it done. They won by 11. And one of the reasons I like the Clippers, normally I don't look to fade the shorthanded teams. They've done quite well, as you guys know, the last couple of years on the blind. But the Clippers had lost both meetings to the Lakers earlier in the season, in one just a couple of weeks ago. And I just didn't think they'd take their foot off the gas without LeBron in there. But something else I've pointed out in these Laker videos the past few weeks is that the Lakers can't exactly do load management. Because like you said, Joe, they're not exactly locking up a playoff spot. They're a 500 team right now, 46 games in. They're 23-23 straight up. So they're not going to make the playoffs if LeBron doesn't play a good amount of these games going forward. He is listed as questionable, but the one thing that's different on the injury report tonight is Anthony Davis is questionable, not probable like he always is. So we got to keep an eye on that. So this is a better team. I do think both play this evening, but I'm not sure how effective they'll be. And it does look like maybe a decent bounce back spot for the Bulls. This team had won back-to-back games before that 2-point loss at Phoenix, but now they have 2 days off to rest and travel in the midst of this 3-game road trip. So I think Chicago's probably the play in this game. I expect Davis and LeBron to play, but I'm not sure either one is 100% healthy. So I'd lean Chicago. Speaking of healthy, I never thought Rob Vino could look any better until you adjusted his gamma before the show
Oh,
started. And
yes.
my God, Yogi Berra is right.
Yes.
There is 100%, 110%. My goodness.
Yes. We don't want too much
Shoot,
gamma because you don't want
not
to
too
see
much.
Rob Vino get angry. You never
No
want to
gamma
see him
rays.
none of those gamma rays. You don't want any of that. Rob Vino, in fact, I believe, were on the show Monday when we talked about this game, and I think you had pointed out you love looking for those teams on the first game of a road trip here. We talked about the number being too big against Phoenix. Yes, Phoenix ended up winning it, but my goodness, they were down. They were down double digits for the most part in that game. And it sounds like Chicago's a little pissed off about losing that game. And now, well, here's the Lakers, and they're still getting just about 2 buckets here. So what are you thinking in this matchup against the Lakers?
Yeah, you could kind of make the same argument for both sides, right? Joe? I mean, they both need the game. It's apparent that they're both trying to get into the playoffs. I mean, the Lakers heading into tonight, they're one game from not even being a play-in team, which is crazy. To Steve's point, I would expect that LeBron and Anthony Davis both play in this game. If I wanted to defend the Lakers, apologize for them, I would say, the schedule's been a little rough. 6 of the last 8 games that they've played have been against pretty good playoff teams. Dallas being the sole exception to pretty good playoff teams because they're on the cusp. But still, 6 of 8 games against playoff teams. So the schedule hasn't been easy. When they've won by this amount. I've been speaking about the Bulls a lot recently, Joe, and it's kind of getting redundant now. But from an offensive perspective, from when Billy Donovan first made the call for a little more offense, they really haven't sped their team up whatsoever. If you look, they're still like last in offensive possessions per 48 minutes. But what they've done is become a heck of a more efficient by running the offense through Nikola Vucevic. As I said the other day, kind of a poor man's Nikola Jokic. He's playing the point center spot. And that will be an interesting matchup for Anthony Davis here. A couple of things. Can the Lakers speed Chicago up? Because the Lakers have played next to zero defense as of late. And they probably want to speed the Bulls up and get them out of their game here a little bit. I'm going to have to, though, probably disagree a little bit with the contrarian gods and lean on the Lakers in this spot. I know the Bulls want it, but I think the Lakers are a little bit deeper of a ball club at this point in time. And if they can get any little stretch of defense, I would take their side. I mean, contrarian gods got us yesterday. I think we had Atlanta against Golden State, and of course, Golden State won by 22. So, but I'll try the Lakers today. I think they're probably the right side.
Well, you gotta love Rob Vino. See, Rob was on the show yesterday, and he was hitting cleanup. And well, we watched Ski back the Contrarian Gods. We watched RC Ronald Kabang back the Contrarian Gods, and reluctantly, Vino's like, "Yeah, that sound you hear is everyone running to the window to bet Golden State," because all 3 of those guys agreed with the Contrarian Gods, and that's what happened. Not today, Rob Vino. Not today. All right, so we do have the Contrarian Gods game in the book. We do have a featured matchup here, and this should be interesting too as we take a look at the champs, the Nuggets, taking on the New York Knicks in this one. I think we're seeing somewhere around that 2.5, some in that ballpark there. The total seems to be coming down a little bit on this one. New look Knicks here now for a little while, Andy. Any props stick out to you in this matchup here tonight at the Garden?
Yeah, real simple one. Jokic under 46.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's gone over 4 games in a row. He doesn't do that very often, especially when you got Murray, Gordon, and Porter in the lineup. This is an anomaly where he's going over. Normally I don't say he takes games off, but there's just so many guys on the team that can put up stats that this is kind of unsustainable here, and they got a pretty nice look ahead game here. So my guess is he takes it a little bit easy tonight. And even if he goes over again, you just keep playing him under, because the trends this year say when they've got the full lineup in, he doesn't go over more than, a couple games in a row. So for him to go over 4 in a row, I expect regression, and I expect Murray, Gordon, and Porter to put up a few more stats. And the Knicks are pretty good defensively. They don't have a really fast pace. They do pretty good against centers. So I think this is a night Jokic comes up a little bit short on his points, rebounds, and assists.
That's I like that idea because a lot of people always look to just go up and over with him. So I love the approach there, Andy and Steve. I mean, this looks a lot more like Thibs' style of Knicks basketball than what we got before the trade for Anunoby. I'm not shocked that the total seems to be falling here a little bit. I mean, it's a possession one way or another for a spread. Are you leaning one way or the other with this one?
Yeah, I like the Knicks in this one. I mean, this is a team that's 10-2 straight up, 9-3 against the spread their last 12. So they're obviously playing excellent basketball right now. I think the trade helped them. This is a team that was a 2-for-1 trade. I thought Quickly was playing really nice basketball. They traded them right after I believe he had like 22 that night before at the end of December. I think they kind of sold high on that one to try to get what they could. But they're trying to clear some cap room also. They're trying to get someone to be alongside Jalen Brunson, who I think is the most underrated superstar in the NBA. You can have Julius Randle. Teddy Covers likes Julius Randle. Teddy can have Julius Randle. He can go back to LA and Teddy can go watch him play. But Randle just underachieves too much for my taste in big games. So I look for Brunson to have a nice night. Andy talked about some props there. I would expect Brunson and the Knicks to be somewhat correlated in this one. The over-under, I mentioned that 10-2 straight up run. The Knicks are now, I believe, 11-1 under their last 12. So there again, Andy talked about defense. No question about it, man. They've gone 10-2 straight up, 11-1 to the under. That is correlated also. And they have been holding teams below average. They've held basically, I think, each of their last 6 to 45% or less, half of them to 41% or less. And, guys, I heard something a few weeks ago. The Nuggets were saying they're tired. And it might not show on the scoreboard or even the standings. They're 31-14. I think they're actually ahead of where they were last year at this point when they won the championship. But they played an extra quarter of a season last, spring, summer. And now they're kind of going through the motion. So I think at some point we're going to get some good money in the next month or so fading Denver. And they've only covered twice in their last 7 games with a push included in there. So I think maybe we're starting to see that here in the middle of the season. The Nuggets might be a team to be careful with here in the next few weeks.
There's a chance for a reason there. I think, Vino, this is an interesting one, right? Aaron Gordon going up against Julius Randle. Who wins? You got, you can base a lot of bets just on who you think's going to get the best of that matchup. Hartenstein, I don't know if he's going, if he's not going, but it would really help if he was going for the Knicks here. What are you thinking we're going to get in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I pointed those things out earlier with Ski Profit doing his show. Nikola Jokic, if you don't have Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson, what are you going to stop that guy with? The only way you stop him is if he just decides to give out 18 assists tonight rather than score points. So if you think he's not going to score, you probably want to play his assists. But it's a horror show for the Knicks. And who even knows? Hartenstein's injury is not all that minor. So if he's playing out there, I don't even know what percent he's playing at against Jokic tonight. And then, of course, the Aaron Gordon, he comes in and shuts down any of these fours that are big scores. It's problematic for them when Aaron Gordon's in town. It leaves you with Jalen Brunson on the offensive end and OG Anunoby. I don't know if it's enough. If you're playing Denver, I think your concern, Joe, is this is a 5-game road trip. It's the 5th. They did have a day off here to get ready for this one, so they're rested. And it's been a pretty tough road trip, right? 3 of these 4 teams that they've played are all solid playoff contenders. They played Philadelphia right to the final whistle, could have won that game, or to the final horn. They beat Boston in a big game, nationally televised, come back and beat Indiana, and now they get the Knicks. I think their mindset on this trip was to come out here and come east and perform well, and they're defending NBA champs for a reason. I mean, they still have the same depth. That their front line is a nightmare. The Knicks, if I go to the other side of this, they're building up all these numbers, ATS, but we really want to see them beat somebody. 7 of their last 9 are against teams that aren't even going to make the playoffs. So all these ATS wins that they're piling up and the OG and Anunoby hype, I get they're better, but I don't think we know how much better. Ski actually pulled out a number for me today, which going to the database said that the Knicks are 4-11 against the spread against teams with a win percentage of 55% or better. They beat up on all the scrubs. They don't beat anybody elite. This team tonight is elite. If they go in with injuries in the pivot, And if Randall doesn't have his customary or at least his average numbers against Aaron Gordon tonight, it could be troublesome. So I'd probably lean to Denver here. I just think they're the better team. And not that the Knicks aren't improved, but we're going to find out tonight if they can be an elite team because they just haven't done so even on this recent streak.
All right. Well, there you go. Should be a good one. Knicks taking on Denver here tonight. We do have some best bets coming up for you guys, but I do want to remind you, if you're joining us here for the first time in the NBA Tip-Off Show, welcome on in. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube there. Become part of the WagerTalk TV family, as nobody has more content both daily and weekly on the biggest games of the week than we do. So check them out. Hit that subscribe button. Check out all of the matchup, the game previews, and the best bets we have for you guys just a click away. And those of you joining us live here on this Thursday, welcome in. You guys know the routine. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that like button for us. We would certainly appreciate it as we get ready to talk a total here tonight in our overtime section. And we're going to land where else? In Indiana. 239 right now after an opening number of 236. The Sixers taking on the Pacers. No Halliburton here, but you would find you'd be hard-pressed to find two teams that have been cashing more tickets to the over than these two teams have so far this season. I think the number was nearly 62% of the Sixer games land to the over here, and the Pacers, we all know the story. I'm kind of shocked it's not at 240 yet here, Andy, but these guys are in your backyard, the Pacers. So do you like the over even without Halliburton, or who might we be concentrating on in this game to get some points?
Well, it is kind of interesting because the Sixers are coming off that crazy game against San Antonio. But before that, low scoring games against Charlotte, didn't get over this total against Orlando. And the Pacers have kind of been an under team since Halliburton's gone out. The books are still hanging these really high numbers on it. I actually would lean a little bit to the under. This is just a lot of points. And, I mentioned a look ahead. Embiid and Jokic both have look aheads because they play each other on Saturday on national television. Hopefully they both play. I'm going Embiid under 37.5 points. Coming off a 70-point game. This is a classic regression spot. And when he's got this huge total, you see the books move it up. And it's 37.5. He's only gone over this total 11 times this year. This is not like a number that he just constantly blows through. And we've seen the Pacers, when they want to limit the points to big men, like they've done it several times against Giannis, where they just double and triple team and say anyone else is going to beat us. So I could see this being a maxi game. Jamal Murray just torched the Pacers for 31 the other night. So did Jokic, but Jokic kind of does that to most teams. I think the Pacers are going to make a concerted effort to kind of take away Joel Embiid. And honestly, if you're Joel Embiid, you're coming off a 70-point game. Do you really want to try and go for a huge total, or do you want to get your teammates a little bit more involved? So I think you got a really, really bloated line here. So I'll fingers crossed, and I'll nervously take the under on a center going up against the Pacers, because make no mistake, we are horrific against centers and power forwards, but it's too high. I'll take Embiid under 37.5.
Oh, look, Aiden, the big 70 burger that he dropped there, looking to go under in that one here tonight. Merrill, what are you thinking? I mean, these two teams notorious for over bets this season. The market has been doing nothing but betting the over here now. Is it over a pass for you, or is there a value on the under at this point for you?
It is over or pass for me, but not a game I'll be using as far as the total is concerned. Like you said, Indiana's been an over team this season, 27-18 or so, depending on your lines, but they've actually gone under 7 of their last 8, and they're still 27-18. So that means they were 26-11 before that. So they have slowed down. Halliburton not being in there hurts them, but they have slowed down because, look, they've given up 50% shooting or worse in the last 6 games, and they've still gone 5-1 under in those 6 games, despite giving up over 50% shooting in every single one of them. So that's a slower tempo pace of play. With that said, though, the reason it's over or pass for me is just the series history. And yes, Indiana was a higher scoring team back in November this year. I get that than right now, but still, first meeting back in or the second meeting in mid-November, 258 points. The first meeting the week, 2 days before that, November 12th, 263 total points. And even last year when the teams played in March, 262 points. And let's not forget 290 points 2 weeks before that in March of last year. So it's over a pass for me, but I agree with Andy. I do think the markets have still not adjusted to the fact that Pacers playing a little slower and Halliburton being out because they are 7-1 under the last 8, but hard to play an under in this matchup.
Alvino, I will faint if I hear the word under come out of your mouth here on this game here. But I mean, call me crazy. Indiana's best chance at this game is to beat them in transition, which means this is not going to be this is not going to be a half court game unless they want to lose by 50 here. So I understand why the market is going up, but it's easy to point out no Halliburton can't bet over, or can you?
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe, because there's contradicting points. Everything that was said ahead of me is absolutely correct, and I think logic would bring you toward under in this game. I mean, as Steve said, Pacers 7-1 to the under last 8, and just to further that, they're 7-1 under 239, which now has become 240, Joe, as they continue to keep pushing this game up as we speak. Which, generally speaking, when things continue to climb like that, you ask yourself, well, who's been ruled into the game? Now, the only guy that could have been ruled into the game, we know Halliburton's not playing, would have been Tobias Harris, who was not at shoot around this morning. But if Tobias Harris is in the game, is it worth a move from 237.5 to 240? I'm not sure. And I don't even know that he's playing. You're just trying to read why this thing continues to go up for Indiana. You know what? I think, and again, to Steve's point about the defense giving up 50% field goals or better quite frequently lately, a lot of that has to be due to the fact that the offense just runs a little bit slower without Halliburton. That guy sees the first pass. They go quicker with him. They go slower without him. So if you add pace, if you add working Pascal Siakam into this lineup, I don't think it's a continuity deal or a complete continuity or fluidity thing yet for the Pacers. All of that leads you to under. I find it hard to think that this game's going to get over 240. Which is what we're currently staring at. But again, it is a Pacers game. I think you're right in the fact that, the Pacers are going to want to run. But if Tobias Harris doesn't go, the guy's coming off the bench. Is Patrick Beverley going to increase your offense or defense? Is Paul Reed going to increase your offense or defense? All these signals point to defense. I probably would try under 230 to 240 now. And if Andy's right, and Joel Embiid stays under 37.5, I don't think this game does get over.
Well, it's Indiana better bottle that up then, because I have no idea what answer they have for Joel Embiid in this game here tonight. I think Embiid, the best thing you can offer, like Andy said, was that his arms are so tired from dropping 70 in that last game that it's pure exhaustion right now, and he's cramping up there. But it should be a fun one here. Philly taking on Indiana. Now it is time, of course, for us to take a look at the dogs here tonight, because inevitably there are going to be a few barking on this 7-game slate. So, Robert, let's see what we got here tonight.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
All right, some new faces, some old faces here on this list as the Heat now get Nate because they suck. We got the Warriors +2 on the second of a back-to-back. The Nets also getting 3.5. The Wizards, no shocker there. The Knicks, we talked, Pacers, and the Chicago Bulls. So a little something for everybody here. Andy, let's start it off here, my man. Inevitably, there will be a dog that barks here tonight. Do you have one? And who should we be focusing on with that dog?
Well, I'm going right back to my Pacers +5 as my dog tonight, mostly because this line stinks. This line reeks of something. Like, You've got the 76ers who have won 6 in a row. You got the Pacers that haven't won since they traded for Siakam. They've lost 5 of 6. And it's only 5 points. There's something that the books are telling us. They're telling us a little bit of a story here. And this line makes no sense to me. I would have thought this was going to open at -7 or -8. Philadelphia, I mean, they're coming off that big home win against San Antonio where Embiid goes ballistic. This is their first game on a road trip where it's a very odd road trip, like at Indiana, and then they just jump out west for Denver, Portland, Golden State, and Utah. This is absolutely a look-ahead game for them as they're getting ready for Denver. And for the Pacers, they only lost by 5 to Denver the other night, and that was with Jokic and Murray having really, really big games. So I like that they've had a day rest to kind of think about it. They've got a brutal schedule. Philadelphia, they got Phoenix coming to town. They've got a game against Boston coming up. So they really got to handle their business here in these next few games while Halliburton is out. So I think this line just it stinks, man. It stinks. I think the books are setting us up for Joe Public to jump all over the 76ers. I'll be on the Pacers tonight.
Ooh, that line smells like ass, Merrill. That's what Andy says. So he's all over the Pacers here. What are you thinking here for a dog tonight with these 7 games?
Yeah, we touched on this one earlier. I'm going to go back to the New York Knicks. Whenever I can get a team that is on a 10-2 run over their last 12, I'd consider that a live dog. And I do agree with what Rob said. Excellent point about them stepping up in class here, though. That is my concern, and that's actually what left this off my best bet card tonight. But I would still lean towards the Knicks on that nice 10-2 straight up run, 9-3 ATS, and even a little look of the money line might be worth it because I like the fact they're playing good defense. Not only are we getting a 10-2 team, but we're getting the definition of a good defensive home dog, as they've held basically half of their opponents during this 12-game span to like 41% shooting or better, or lower. So I think they can handle Denver tonight. It'll be a focus spot for both teams, but I think the Knicks are a live dog at +2.5.
All right, back to the Knicks here tonight to hold serve, get it done against the champs. Rob, what are you thinking here, man? 7 games on the board. We went ugly yesterday. What are you thinking we're going tonight here?
Yeah, nothing better than some smelly ass, right, Joe? I mean,
Yeah,
let's go right to where you're located. With that being the theme here, let's go right to Miami and try and grab 8. I mean, this is crazy that I'm even considering it, but the list of dogs here is not very attractive here tonight. It means something to me that I don't see any of these Heat guys on back-to-back nights on the injury report. It almost leads me to believe that, and they played some extensive minutes last night. Let's just look. Jimmy played 35. Bam played 39.5. Tyler Hero played 38. All these guys played minutes, but none of usually in the second of a back-to-back, we would see at least one of those guys on the injury report. And it's still early. They could show up. But it kind of indicates to me that they want to play this game, that they're focused on this game here tonight. And we'll see if Terry Rozier, who went 3 for 9 last night, got in there for almost 30 minutes. We'll see if he can be a little bit more effective here. I think as games go on, he will be as he gets used to the workings of that offense and defense. But if they're motivated, Joe, and they're focused and they're using this game as a measuring stick to see where the heck do we stand right now where the Eastern Conference is concerned, no better measuring stick than the Boston Celtics, who do have a day of rest. It's the final game of their road trip. Maybe 8 is a few too many here. Boston has not been on top of their offensive game as of late. Their offense has shot less than 47% in 5 straight games, and they haven't touched 120, looking right here, in 6. So they're not at the top of their offensive peak. If Miami is focused and motivated for 48, they can be a handful. We'll see if fatigue becomes a factor with the Heat in this game, but when I looked at that injury report and didn't see anybody, no Jimmy Butler, no Bam Adebayo, no Tyler Hero, that indicated to me Miami's all in on this ball game. So I'll take 8 points at home.
All right. Well, there you go. Miami +8 here tonight at home against the Celtics. That leaves us with some best bets here, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, that thumbs up. Those of you joining us here live on this Thursday. We've got 60 seconds we put on the clock. And we give these guys the opportunity to do or say whatever the hell they want, as long as they give us a best bet during that 60 seconds. And Andy Lang, start us off here, my man. Where are you looking for a best bet here tonight?
I'm definitely not going to use the full clock here. Alex Caruso over 1.5 made 3-pointers. He's gone over in 7 straight, and his attempts have just shot up. He was averaging 3.8 in December. Now he's averaging 6.1 attempts this month. So his attempts are going up. The books are still hanging it at 1.5. It was around minus 135 earlier today. I believe last time I checked it, it crept up to minus 140. So we're kind of looking at a situation where if he goes over again, you're probably not going to get a 1.5. They're going to bump it up to 2.5. So I'm going to go with Caruso over, and maybe, just maybe, he might want to show off to the Lakers a little bit there, drain a couple threes, kind of remind him a little bit that he's still got it. So I'll take Caruso over 1.5 made 3-pointers tonight.
A solid point, man. Very good there. Over 1.5 with the trees here tonight for the Chicago Bull, former Laker. All right, we got Steve Merrill up, ready to go. No doubt there will be a prop in this for those of you kids at home. Please get your parents' permission before he rips this prop out. 60 seconds there, Merrill. Where are you going for this best bet?
Sound like we were watching Boogie Nights or something. He's whipping out a prop. I do like me some Marky Mark, though. Bob Vino's yearbook picture looked like Marky Mark, if you ever find that. So whip that out. All right, we're going to look at a free NBA over-under for you for tonight on Thursday. And by the way, I do have 2 side selections. I'm going to give you a free NBA total in a moment, but 2 side best bets. We won again last night, hit 2 out of 3 in college and pro hoops. Now 28-12, 70% in basketball and football the last 2.5 weeks. I've got NFL best bets, 3 of them posted for this weekend already. Hey, try out that 7-day all access and save 30% instantly. $69 gets you the next 7 days and nights for just over $10 a day, actually less than $10 a day. Promo code ACCESS7. Also, my 1-year all sports special for just $3 a day. I brought that back this week because we are red hot. Promo codes and the daily free play, free college basketball play. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Up and over in the Golden State Sacramento game. Open 241 up to 242, 243. Sharp books at 244. I like a high scoring game between Sacramento and Golden State tonight on Thursday.
All right. Getting it done here tonight. Rob Vino, quick question here.
Yes.
What do we got to do to get a job as the Bucks coach? Because they're apparently paying 30 of them here at this point, and giving Doc Rivers $40 million for some unforsaken reason. But they got a few coaches on a payroll. I just figure any one of us at this point, maybe we should apply for a job as the Bucks coach, my man. Where are you going for a best bet here tonight?
We seem to have as good an overview of their team as it took them 40 games to figure out the overview. We knew it right off the bat. I'm going to go to Minnesota, Brooklyn, Joe. There's nothing I like better than a fundamental mismatch on the floor, and you probably can't find one in the interior that's wider than these two teams. The Minnesota front court of Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and when they bring Naz Reid off the bench against the smallish Brooklyn Nets, they just can't rebound against bigger teams. They have to run and chuck up threes. They're 3-16 against the spread in their last 19. We talked about the Wolves last night after head coach Chris Finch threw them under the bus, and they were up against it at halftime, but they came out defensively and held Washington to 19 points in the third quarter. And we've seen Karl Anthony Towns. We've seen Anthony Edwards. All these guys in the maturation process talk about we need to be better on defense. They proved it in the third last night. They're all going to play the second of back-to-backs here. Too big of an advantage here for me for Minnesota. I'll lay the 3.5.
All right. Boom, laying the 3.5 here tonight, guys. And there you got it. We got best bets covered for you one more time. How about that Sacramento Golden State Warriors over 243 for Steve Merrill? You just heard Vino tell you the Timberwolves laid at 3.5. They're going to get it done here tonight. And Mr. Caruso over the 1.5 threes made in that Lakers Bulls game tonight for Andy. And guys, head over to the pages right now at WagerTalk.com. That's Andy, that's Steve, that's Rob Vino. Great opportunity to partner up here. Best bets locked, loaded here on their pages at WagerTalk. Huge weekend coming up across the sports betting landscape. No better time for one of those 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access passes. And we'll be back tomorrow, of course. Another slate of NBA action, getting ready for this big weekend. In the meantime, though, hit that like button, subscribe button, and click on that video on your screen right now, as it'll give you access to all the big games coming up, game previews, best bets, angles you need to know. It's all just a click away. Smash that video right on the screen right now and check out the rest that WagerTalk TV has to offer. Until tomorrow, best of luck with all your plays tonight. We'll see you again soon.